Hello, everybody. All right, it is Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, to the best of my knowledge. So, I've got two different questions that I screenshotted from members of the Linchpin community. I think the two tie together really well, and that's why I entitled this video CrossFit and Burnout. And ideally, hopefully, how to avoid it, to give some people some tips and tricks, because it can be a real thing. And I consider myself very fortunate to have found some ways to have been doing CrossFit pretty much non-stop, really, since 2005 to now, so whatever that is, 17 or 18 years. So here we go. The question came from just one of the cornerstone, foundational members of the Linchpin community, Jennifer R. And Jen said, I just had a good friend tell me she's not doing CrossFit anymore because of burnout, for all the same reasons that most people burn out on it. Overtraining, i.e. competitor programming for people who don't actually need it. Also, lack of scaling, because the coach would guilt her into going harder or lifting more when she just didn't want to, etc. She's a great athlete, an all-around person, and I hope she'll return, but I understand her need to go down and her path, do her own thing for a while. Yes, of course, I espoused the benefits of Linchpin programming and will continue to poke her with it, but I don't want to force her. It just saddens me to hear when this happens to people, So, yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, that sucks. Breaks my heart when I hear stuff like that. That shouldn't be, if there's not more to the story than that, I think, people unnecessarily doing competitor programming have been very, very vocal about that. Do what you want. As a free, autonomous human being on planet Earth, do what you want. I'm a huge fan of freedom. That doesn't mean that I think it's a smart decision. And I don't think it's a smart decision for most people, and I don't think, for most people, it is a path of actual long-term health, fitness, and living pain-free, to be honest with you. But hey, rock on. So that's one part. The other part is, man, if that's the case, and a coach is not encouraging good decisions, but encouraging going a bit heavier than you should or harder than you should, that's very sad to hear, and potentially borderline negligent if we're being honest. But let's talk about what are some things potentially that could happen that if somebody is feeling burnout or getting close to burnout, or you would like to avoid burnout, some real things that I would recommend to people to hopefully not go down that path. So to avoid burning out both physically and mentally, I'd say if you're working out 3 to 5 times a week, that's fantastic. I'd love to see 5 times a week. That's great. I would think that's an ideal. You get 2 rest days in there because rest is mission critical. And not respecting those rest days or taking rest when needed, that's going to lead to burnout for most people as well. There's very few people that can train every single solitary day and not eventually hit some sort of a wall. And if you're at 3 times a week, that's great. You can get fantastic results from 3 times a week. And 5 might be ideal, but 3 can get it done for sure. So training 3 to 5 times a week, wonderful. More than 5 times a week, and I'm like, maybe we want to have a little chat. Could be fine, but it would get my attention. I would say, one nice dedicated heavy day a week is going to be plenty for most people. If there's a heavy lift 3 times a week, heaven forbid every single solitary day, I think that's a short-term game that you're playing. I think you'll burn out. I think you'll overtrain. I think you'll stop making gains. I think your knees, back, and shoulders will not be happy with you. That's most people. And so I would say 3 to 5 workouts a week you're doing. One of them should be a good classic dedicated heavy day where that's all you're doing. You give it the respect that it deserves. And potentially another one of, if there's 5 workouts that week and one of them's a classic heavy, of the 4 other workouts, sure, one of them might be a heavy day at a high heart rate. That could certainly be in there, but not necessarily all the time, but it could be, and that'd be just fine with me. One day, ideally, out of those 5 days that you're training, would have no loading whatsoever. Gasp, right? The horror. Not going to touch a barbell, not going to touch anything with weight. It might be just a total gymnastics day, or it could be just a running day or just a rowing day or just a bike day, but no external loading whatsoever on your body. I think that's, as a general rule, a good thing to do as well. Also, to avoid burnout, if every single solitary day is kind of the same with the loading on the barbell, probably geared towards heavy, I don't think that's a long-term plan either. So there should be this intelligent path of from just body weight days to light days to moderate days to heavy days, precisely laid out to cover all your bases and not, to help drive results forward, but not overload one thing that you are overworking the athlete, then they're overtrained, they're burned out. It's not good. As I said before, the 2 rest days, mission critical. And even though you're taking your 2 rest days, if one day you just thought that you were going to have a great day, you know what the workout was, you were all fired up, you were going to go in and just crush it, and for whatever reason, you didn't sleep well, the nutrition's been off, the workouts the past couple of days hit you in a way that you didn't expect, and now you're just not feeling as froggy as you thought that you were, listen to your body. Listen to your body. You don't have to burn it down with intensity every single day that you walk into the gym. Allow yourself to have a moderate day. It's a really good thing to do, and it's something that I did not do appropriately or correctly in my early CrossFit years, and I wish that somebody had shaken a little sense into me. So listen to your body, because intensity is a relative thing based on the individual's physical and psychological tolerances. And even though CrossFit is constantly varied functional movements at high intensity, that's a very shorthand elevator pitch sub 10-second definition of what is an hour-long lecture to actually dive into all those topics. And so as you start to unpack intensity, even though it's CrossFit is quote-unquote high intensity, high does not mean maximal, and that does not mean that you should do every workout every day with high intensity. That's an unsophisticated, overly simplified, inaccurate view of the methodology that won't lead most people to a good place. So just like you modulate your loadings from low to high, you modulate and vary your rep ranges, the whole 9 yards, time domains, you should allow yourself that same modulation and variance with your intensity as well. And I've said this, out of the 5 days that I train a week, I probably really only try to stomp the gas and go quote-unquote high intensity 2 out of those 5 days. That's only 40% of the time, less than half. So less than half of the time, I'm not trying to get after it with high intensity. 2 out of 5 workouts. And the other 3, one of them's probably a heavy day, which I will lift whatever feels appropriately challenging that day, but I allow myself moderate days, conversational pace days, a low intensity day. And doing that allows me to keep training week after week, month after month, year after year, and not get burned out. But if I was trying to just go 100% every day, yeah, that would not be sustainable. What else could I tell somebody? This might shock somebody. Accessory work. You don't need to do it. Ever. Not a single day in your life. You don't need to do it. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to practice things in order to get better at them, okay? But what I'm saying is that after you do a workout that has the primary stimulus was potentially below parallel in the workout, you can just cool down, stretch, and go home. You don't then need to do Bulgarian split squats, dumbbell box step-ups, walking lunges, glute ham raises, like whatever it happens to be. You don't need to do that, ever. Does accessory work have value and have a place and work really well for some people? Yes. Could you live your whole life, be wonderfully fit, and never do any? Yes. So just don't feel the need to do more if just doing the workout of the day is plenty for you where you are with your fitness journey. You'll be totally good to go. But like I said, don't also misinterpret that I'm just saying you're going to be capable and competent at all the movements that you want to do in CrossFit and the strength and conditioning world without practicing those movements. Okay, there's a difference. Practice the snatch, practice the clean, practice your deadlift, practice ring muscles. Practice is a wonderful thing. I'm about to turn into like an Allen Iverson quote right here. But practice is fantastic, but you don't necessarily need to do accessory work. It is truly, truly optional. So I would say that as well. And that falls under the whole more is better thing. There's a disease going around of more is better, and more is not better for most people. I'm a huge fan of once a week, doing a workout not for time. I'm wonderfully aware of the importance of data, of measuring inputs and outputs, of how critical the clock is to me tracking things. I'm also wonderfully aware that doing one workout a week without running the clock is so refreshing that it's amazing. I just move at whatever pace I want to move, and I have no idea how long the workout took me. It's fantastic for my mental state, for my soul, and it keeps me happy walking into the gym. And then, of course, scaling and modifying is cool. It's not only cool, it's really smart. And even after years and years and years of doing CrossFit, and maybe you don't have to scale most things, there might be something that pops up every now and then that a scale or a modification is a really good call. Even though you've been doing CrossFit 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 years, whatever it happens to be. When that pops up, scale it, modify it. Don't let your ego get in the way of making a really good decision that's going to keep you feeling good. So I would encourage you to do that as well. Okay, so that's question number one, based upon what Jen had to say, which I think is fantastic. And I think it plays really well into another question that was posted from LG. Here's what LG had to say. There are several workouts in the CrossFit world that I would thoroughly enjoy or really like to try for the first time. I am guilty, however, of at times being in that mindset of, well, if a particular workout is on the schedule for today, then that's what I do, period. And I can't break myself from it. I can't try a different workout on occasion. I'm just rigidly locked into whatever it is. Does anyone else deal with this? What would you recommend? Etc., etc. If a mood strikes me, I want to hit a workout, is that okay? I feel guilty breaking away from, Coach Pat's programming, etc., etc. I get that. Look, here's the deal. You have to have fun, right? And if every now and then, maybe there's a hero workout that's been around for a while and you've always kind of wanted to give it a whirl, and you've got a certain craving for it and you just really want to, it's firing you up, you want to do it. Do it. Do it. You have to keep training fun and allowing yourself every now and then just to do something that you just want to do, period, end of story. It's nothing more complicated than that. Really want to do this today, so I did it. You're doing functional movements, you're working out with intensity, you're doing good stuff, you're going to be great. It's also about understanding want versus need. And every now and then, you got to do what you want, right? I mean, doing what you need works really well. I can think of this with like nutrition. Doing what I need to is, eating clean, making sure that my quality and my quantity is on point. If I ate how I quote unquote wanted at every meal, that would not be good for my waistline, and that would probably be a march directly towards chronic disease, because every plate that I have would be this decadent, overflowing mass quantity of just opulence. That wouldn't be really good if every time that I just gave into my whims and my desires and my wants. The same could be true with your fitness, right? Because you might not enjoy fill in the blank. If you don't enjoy conditioning workouts and then you only do what you want, well, you're going to avoid all the conditioning workouts and you're just going to do, a heavy deadlift every day, and then followed by power cleans and followed by clean and jerks, and you're going to avoid the gymnastic stuff. Or the opposite's true. You're a former runner. You love going long, you love going light, you hate the heavy days. Well, if every day you just do what you want and not necessarily what you need, well, sure, yeah, you're still out there working out and you're beating everybody on the couch, that's for sure, but you're not optimizing your fitness and your long-term health and fitness. And depending upon what you love to do, you may actually be doing yourself some harm, because I don't know, if you love to squat and every single solitary day you find just a new and different squat workout that has a heavy barbell, you're not giving your body any sort of break from the exact same movement pattern, and after a while, not only are you going to certainly stunt your fitness, but you're going to probably pay some sort of a price with constantly using the same muscle groups and joints over and over and over again. So just understand want versus need. So if you're on a path of long-term health and fitness, great variance, understanding all the concepts that I said before, that's great. If every now and then a workout catches your eye and you're like, oof, always wanted to try that. I think I'm going to hit it today. That's great. That's actually a really good thing, but because that keeps working out from feeling like a job that you just hate and you just show up every day, not because it's voluntary, but out of some sort of compulsion and you don't enjoy it, but I have to do it. That's going to get really old. So allow yourself these little breaks every now and then. I think they're really good for you mentally and physically. And again, I played the same game. This, I think, is a great analogy to nutrition. If I ate how I quote unquote wanted to every meal, I'd be profoundly overweight and that'd be no good, it'd be unhealthy. But I also don't want to live a life that has no treats in it whatsoever. That doesn't sound like a good life. So I do, the overwhelming majority of the time, what I know I need to do and what I should do and what the good path is. And every now and then I have myself the delicious treat, because that's a good pressure release and it keeps life happy. That's sort of the life that I want. And so I think that same sort of mindset plays really well with your working out, your strength and conditioning, and if all of those things help keep you compliant and keep you working out and keep you consistent, then you're on the right path. So I would encourage you to find your sweet spot through some experimentation. You should certainly feel authorized to have the freedom to do that. So I hope that helps. Great questions and topics from Jennifer R. and LG. Have a good day, and we'll talk again later.